Hey everyone, and welcome to the Deep Dive. Ready to explore something truly mind-bending today? We're diving into the fascinating concept of unus mundus.
Unus Mundus. It's a concept that suggests there's this like a hidden reality underneath everything we see, a kind of unified foundation beneath all the seemingly separate things we encounter every day.
It's like imagining a secret tapestry connecting everything in the universe, right?
Exactly. And it pops up in some really unexpected places. We're talking ancient Greek philosophy, medieval mysticism, even modern psychology and physics.
You've gathered an incredible collection of sources for us to explore for this deep dive.
I did my best.
And we're going to need all the help we can get because we're going to be talking about ancient philosophers like Plato and medieval thinkers like John Duns Scotus. We'll touch on mystics and alchemists and even dive into modern takes from Spinoza and Pauli.
Buckle up. It's going to be a wild ride.
So before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's take a step back and lay some philosophical groundwork. And when it comes to Western philosophy, we have to start with Plato, right?
Absolutely. Plato's theory of forms is a great place to begin. He argued that the physical world we experience is just a shadow play, a reflection of perfect, eternal blueprints that he called forms.
Hold on, I'm trying to wrap my head around this. So, like when I see a tree, is Plato saying that's just a copy, some kind of knockoff?
Pretty much. He'd say that tree is just an imperfect copy of the ideal perfect tree form, which exists in a separate realm.
Okay, so where's Plato keeping all these perfect blueprints? Like a cosmic filing cabinet.
He believed these forms existed in a realm beyond our physical senses, a realm of pure ideas and essences. And here's where things get really interesting. Plato proposed that there's a single source, a starting point, from which all these forms come from, and he called this the one, or sometimes hen.
Okay, I see where this is going. So he's suggesting there's this fundamental unity, this oneness behind the multiplicity of forms, and those forms in turn shape the physical world we experience.
You got it. It's like a chain reaction of oneness leading to multiplicity, but originating from a single source. It's a powerful idea that really stuck with a lot of thinkers throughout history.
And that brings us to John Duns Scotus, right? That medieval philosopher who gave us the idea of haec siti. Isn't that about how each and everything has its own unique essence? Doesn't that clash with this whole idea of a unified reality?
It might seem that way at first, but Scotus was a clever guy. His concept of haec siti actually emphasizes that even within a unified reality, individuals can still possess unique qualities that set them apart.
So it's not just a big cosmic blob where everything blends together.
Not at all. It's more like, think of a tapestry. Each thread is unique, contributing its own color and texture, but they all weave together to create a unified whole.
I love that analogy. So we're not talking about a bland, homogeneous unity, but rather a unity that embraces and even celebrates the diversity and individuality of everything.
Exactly. And this idea of unity within diversity continued to evolve through the medieval and Renaissance periods. Take the Neoplatonists, for example. They were heavily influenced by Plato, and they envisioned everything in the universe as emanating from the one.
So they were picturing reality like a cascading fountain with the one at the very top and everything else flowing outward from it.
A great way to visualize it. And then you have the alchemists. These guys were all about finding the prima materia, this primordial substance they believed underlay all matter. They were constantly experimenting, trying to merge opposites like fire and water.
Sounds intense. But I guess their pursuit of the prima materia reflects this deep desire to understand the unifying principles of the cosmos, to find that one thing that connects everything.
Right, and their symbolic union of opposites, like merging fire and water, echoes this idea of a unified reality that transcends apparent dualities.
So we're seeing how this idea of a unified reality has been explored and reinterpreted throughout history. But I'm really interested in hearing about the modern takes on unus mundus. Let's jump ahead a few centuries and talk about Spinoza. He seems to be a key figure in bringing this ancient concept into the modern era.
He is absolutely essential. Spinoza was a radical thinker who proposed this mind-blowing idea called substance monism.
Substance monism, laid on me. What's so radical about that?
Well, instead of believing in a personal God who is separate from the universe, Spinoza argued that there's only one substance, and this substance is both God and nature. It's everything, the mental and the physical.
Whoa, so instead of God versus the universe, it's God as the universe.
Exactly. And this is where Spinoza's ideas deeply resonate with the concept of unus mundus. He's saying that what we perceive as mind and matter, the mental and physical realms, aren't actually separate entities, but two attributes, two sides of the same underlying substance.
Two sides of the same coin.
Exactly. Inseparable yet distinct aspects of a single reality.
Okay, my mind is definitely bending a bit here. So for Spinoza, Everything we experience, from thoughts and feelings to trees and planets, is all part of this one unified substance.
You got it. It's a fundamental concept within Unus Mundus, this idea of a unified reality underlying all apparent diversity. And Spinoza's substance monism provides a strong philosophical foundation for understanding this idea.
This is making me think about Leibniz and his monads. Those tiny individual units of existence, each reflecting the whole universe. Was he influenced by Spinoza at all?
Leibniz developed his own unique philosophical system, but he was definitely aware of Spinoza's work. And while their ideas differed in some ways, they both grappled with this concept of unity and how individual entities relate to a unified whole.
It's fascinating how these different thinkers build upon and challenge each other's ideas. But we can't forget about Jung. How does he fit into all of this?
Carl Jung's contributions are essential, particularly his concept of the collective unconscious. He proposed that beneath our personal unconscious, there's this deeper layer, that we all share a universal wellspring of primordial images and patterns that he called archetypes.
Oh, yeah. The archetypes.
Yeah.
Like the hero, the shadow, the wise old man, those recurring characters and stories that pop up in myths, religions, and literature across cultures.
Exactly. Jung saw these archetypes as evidence of a shared psychic substrate connecting all humans, a manifestation of Unus Mundus within the human psyche.
So instead of just being interesting stories, these archetypes might actually point to a deeper layer of reality that connects us all.
Precisely. And Jung believed that these archetypes could be accessed through dreams, active imagination, and even those meaningful coincidences we call synchronicity.
Synchronicity. Now, things are getting really interesting. It's those moments when two seemingly unrelated events converge in a way that feels meaningful, even uncanny. Like when you think of someone you haven't seen in years and then suddenly they call you.
Those are classic examples. While many people might dismiss them as just random chance, Jung saw synchronicity as a glimpse into the underlying interconnectedness of Unus Mundus. For him, these weren't just random events, but hints of a deeper order connecting mind and matter in ways we don't fully grasp yet.
I see what you mean. So we've got Plato's forms, Spinoza's substance monism, Jung's collective unconscious. It's like we're lifting a veil and seeing the hidden threads that weave the universe together.
And it's not just philosophers and psychologists who are exploring these ideas. Physicist Wolfgang Pauli, through his collaboration with Jung, also contributed to the concept of Unus Mundus. He brought in ideas about complementarity, how seemingly contradictory concepts can actually both be true, which added a whole new layer to the conversation.
Complementary.
Yeah.
Didn't he use that idea to explain how light can behave as both a wave and a particle?
That's right. Pauli saw a parallel between this principle in physics and the relationship between the conscious and unconscious mind. He thought that just like wave and particle are complementary aspects of light, the conscious and unconscious aspects of the psyche could be two sides of the same coin arising from a deeper, unified source, potentially Unus Mundus.
This is blowing my mind. Physicists are considering ideas that sound like they came straight out of Jungian psychology. That's wild.
It is. And it shows how Unus Mundus is a concept with the potential to bridge different fields of knowledge, encouraging us to look for connections and patterns we might otherwise miss. And that's exactly what Jung and Pauli set out to do with their famous conjecture.
Okay, let's talk about that. This is where they tried to connect Jung's archetypes with the world of quantum physics, right? It sounds like something straight out of a science fiction novel.
It does. And it's a bold proposition. They were exploring whether those universal archetypal patterns in the collective unconscious might actually have corresponding patterns in the physical world, perhaps at the level of quantum phenomena. Imagine our inner world and the outer world interconnected at the most fundamental levels.
Now we're getting into some deep territory. So what are some of the main critiques or challenges to this whole idea of Unus Mundus? It can't all be smooth sailing, right?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is that Unus Mundus is a very difficult concept to test empirically. It's one thing to have philosophical discussions and draw analogies, but it's another thing entirely to demonstrate a concrete link between, say, archetypes and quantum phenomena.
That makes sense. We can't exactly put Unus Mundus under a microscope,
Right.
but even if it's tough to prove scientifically, it still feels like a powerful idea with a lot of potential.
Absolutely. Unus Mundus is a concept that challenges us to think outside the box, to question our assumptions about the nature of reality, and to consider the possibility that everything is interconnected in ways we're only beginning to understand.
So where do we go from here? What are some of the future directions for research and exploration related to Unus Mundus, particularly when it comes to Spinoza and his ideas?
Spinoza's substance monism offers a particularly fertile ground for further exploration. For example, how might his ideas inform our understanding of consciousness? If mind and matter are truly two attributes of the same substance, does that imply a deeper connection between our inner experiences and the physical world than we currently acknowledge?
It's like Spinoza is giving us permission to rethink the whole mind-body problem. Instead of seeing them as separate, maybe we need to start exploring how they might be intertwined in ways we haven't even imagined.
Precisely. And maybe Spinoza's ideas can shed light on phenomena like synchronicity. Could these meaningful coincidences be glimpses into the interconnected nature of reality, as described by substance monism, where the supposed separation between mind and matter becomes less rigid?
You're making me reconsider how I view those random events that happen in life. Maybe there's more to them than meets the eye. But what about the ethical implications of all this? If Unus Mundus suggests that everything is interconnected, does that change how we view our responsibilities toward each other and the planet?
That's a crucial point. Spinoza's ethics, which are deeply rooted in his understanding of substance monism, emphasize the interconnectedness of all things. He argued that understanding our place within this interconnected web should naturally lead us to act with compassion and understanding.
So it's not just a cool philosophical idea, but something that could potentially guide our actions and choices in the world.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes Unus Mundus so compelling. It's a concept that pushes us to expand our thinking, explore new avenues of research, and consider the ethical implications of how we live our lives.
It feels like we've only just scratched the surface of what Unus Mundus might reveal. I'm curious, are there any researchers or thinkers today who are specifically carrying the torch of Spinoza's ideas in relation to Unus Mundus?
There's definitely a resurgence of interest in Spinoza's philosophy, and some contemporary thinkers are drawing upon his work to address questions about consciousness, ethics, and the nature of reality. They're exploring how his ideas might inform our understanding of everything from quantum physics to environmentalism.
It's exciting to think that a philosopher who lived centuries ago could still be so relevant to contemporary issues.
That's the power of enduring ideas. And the beauty of Unus Mundus is that it's a concept that invites ongoing exploration. It's not a final answer, but a starting point for a journey of discovery that can lead us in all sorts of unexpected directions.
Thinking back to all the sources we explore today, from Plato and Scotus to Spinoza, Jung, and Pauli, it's amazing to see how this one concept, Unus Mundus, has resonated with thinkers across cultures and disciplines for centuries.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this thought. If Spinoza is right, and there is only one substance underlying all of reality, what does that mean for your understanding of yourself and your place in the universe?
That's a great question to ponder. And for those who want to delve even deeper into Unus Mundus, especially Spinoza's perspective, we've included some additional resources in the show notes.
Remember, Unus Mundus is a concept that invites ongoing exploration and contemplation. Keep questioning, keep seeking, and keep connecting the dots. You never know what insights you might uncover.
It's been an amazing journey. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring.